Hey there, vinyl community. It's Joel coming at you from Planet 13, and in this episode, I'm just going to feature on two horror movie soundtracks I recently picked up, plus a book on horror movie soundtracks. So, just to jump right in, the first album I picked up is the second pressing of Friday the 13th, Part 1. Big thanks to Beth at B-Side Records for creating a video and making me aware of this. Beth always has a lot of good content on her channel. You probably already follow her if you don't follow me, or if you follow me. If you don't, I'll leave a link below. Definitely follow her. She covers a lot of horror movie soundtracks in general, a lot of cool stuff. She puts out 4 to 5 videos a week, I think, in most cases, and they're all awesome. But yeah, I was aware of this because I knew it would sell out pretty quick. I went on sale around noon, and I could probably buy it at work. I just don't want to be that guy buying albums at work, so I waited until after work and I picked it up. Fortunately, it was still available, but it did sell out within 24 hours. This is an album I've wanted for a while. I really love that cover art right there. Just the eye. I don't know if it's a victim or Mrs. Voorhees, but just the eye looking out on Camp Crystal Lake. And it's got a nice gatefold cover with some interesting liner notes from Sean Cunningham and the composer. And then there's the back there. This came out on a colored vinyl, and it's yellow and red. Yellow and red. So there's the one side, and you got the archery target there, which is kind of cool. And here is the other side. So this is supposed to be like a campfire, yellow and red, to signify, Camp Crystal Lake. For me, it kind of reminds me. I looked up beforehand because I read something about Friday the 13th, or I saw it on YouTube, some fact, but I couldn't find the exact reason why. But I remember in the movie, everyone was wearing like yellow raincoat slickers and doors were painted red, and I believe Sean Cunningham chose that kind of color palette because I think he had like a dark film, or they're filming at night, and he just wanted some color for some depth, I believe. I can't remember the exact reason, but if you know, leave me a comment below. If you don't know, whatever. I couldn't find any trivia. Might have been in the documentary, his name was Jason, or the Camp Crystal Lake Chronicles, or the book that came out. Just a small fact, and that just kind of reminded me of that. Also comes with a print. And yeah, it's pretty cool release overall. Happy I got it. If you don't have it, I hope they release it again. I think every fan who wants that album should have the opportunity to buy it. I wouldn't pay eBay prices. It'll eventually come down in price. I think, there's a lot of speculation about records in general, a lot of people buying things. And once they sit on their inventory for a while, I think prices will come down. Or they'll reissue it. They've reissued parts 1 and 2 and 3 are out of print. I think you can still buy 4 and 5 if you're interested. I'll leave a link below for Waxwork Records. Because I live in Canada, I always order like 2 albums when I buy something from Waxwork just to save on shipping. Shipping isn't actually that bad. I think it cost me 12 Canadian for 2 records. It would cost me $12 for 1 record. And that's Canadian prices, which would be like 8 American. So it's not that bad. In the past, I've had to pay like some companies that they'll charge you like 30, 40 bucks for shipping. We have a lot of artists come up here who do graphic novels, and I talk to them at like conventions, and they're like, we really wish we could ship to Canada, but it's I'm selling this book for 12 bucks and it cost me 24 to ship, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm just babbling on, and I'll get on to my next album, and that is Black Christmas. And the cover art is by Ghoulish Gary, who lives in the same town as me. He's does a lot of artwork for Rue Morgue magazine, and he does a lot of album covers too. So this is a Canadian movie that came out in the late 70s, I believe. It's directed by Bob Clark, who did another famous Christmas movie, Christmas Story. I think everyone's seen that. So he's done 2 Christmas movies. He also did the movie Porky's. So he unfortunately died, I think 10 or 12 years ago, unfortunately, with his son in a tragic car accident, which is really unfortunate. And here's the inside of the album cover, and it's really cool. This just comes on a clear vinyl, no print. I do love the custom labels on here, like this phone. I don't think I can show it too good on my camera, but I just love this the detail in the phone rotary thing there. And then there is the secondary label, and then here is the clear vinyl. So overall, very cool. Very weird soundtrack. It's not really a score. It's kind of like Billy, if you've ever seen the movies. The character Billy, his like obscene phone calls over just background noise of sometimes Christmas carols and just weird sound effects. Really weird. I don't know if I'll spin this too often. You can't really spin this in the company of guests if you're having a party or anything. I guess most horror movie soundtracks you can't, but this isn't really a soundtrack. It's more of an experience, and I think it does work. And I'm glad I have this in my collection. And the final thing I picked up is the Blood on Black Wax book. This came with this was a Record Store Day exclusive, and it came with a 7-inch. I didn't buy this on Record Store Day. I bought it yesterday, in fact, which would have been May 17th. So again, you have art by Ghoulish Gary. I'll leave his Instagram below. He's got some really cool artwork. And he does a lot of conventions, so you might be able to meet him one day if you're interested in his artwork. And it comes on a red 7-inch. And they just slip that into the book. I just love this disco ball. They also released the full soundtrack to Prom Night. I'll leave a link below. You can buy it from 1984 Publishing, if I forget to leave the link. And you can buy it bundled with the book. It might have been sold out by now, but you can still get the book for $25 American on there, plus shipping. I paid $55 Canadian for my Record Store Day exclusive. If you're in the Hamilton, Ontario region, I got it at Dr. Disc, downtown Hamilton. And they had 5 copies remaining. I went like 2 days after Record Store Day, and they had sold out, and I just inquired about it because they had a book on display, but you couldn't buy it. It was a signed copy. They're just like, sorry, you can't buy it, just on display. But we're getting more copies in, just come back in a month or so. And they were true to their word, so it's really cool. So this is the book. It's quite thick. Let me see how many pages it is here. I think you can buy it on Amazon as well. So it's about 250 pages, and they break it up into different genres. So you got your science fiction horror as genre number 2, and then this isn't science fiction horror. This would be like creature feature horror. So I got the Jaws soundtrack there. I'm not going to show the whole book because if you're really into it, you should probably buy it. I would consider getting this relatively quick. I know in the past, because they've 1984 Publishing has put out books in the past, and they sell out pretty quick. And they do reissue things too with different covers. So if this is a cover you like, I'd get this quick. I wouldn't hold out. So lots of cool soundtracks, and then they have some text on the bottom. It's either commentary by the authors or they interview the actual composer or film director. There's Vamp, and they talk about how the song, I can't remember her name right now. I should know her name. But they talk about how, Grace Jones, that's her name, how she sings the song in the movie and it doesn't appear on the soundtrack. And I thought that was kind of cool because I always wondered why. And then there's Creep Show. So yeah, they tell you what's in press, when things were pressed, what's out of press, what might be expensive. There's Hereditary. That's an amazing movie. The Burbs. So yeah, just a lot of cool information in this book. If you love horror movie soundtracks, definitely pick this up. I can't recommend it enough. And that's all I have to show you today. If you have any questions or want me to show anything more about these albums or inquiries, just leave a comment below. Both albums sound great. I haven't listened to the single yet, but if you're wanting to know about sound quality, I think both albums sound great. There's channels who, if you just Google it, they play the album and you can hear it there. They don't come with download cards, unfortunately. That would have been cool, but I understand why they don't. I think they don't come with it because they want people to actually play these albums. That's my theory. Maybe they just don't do it because they don't want to, or they're worried about piracy. But whatever. Anyway, that's all I got. Until next time, cheers.